al Eagle Room del City Hall de Boston, el cuarto águila. Este cuarto se llama así por el águila que ven a mi derecha. Esta águila está tallada en pino, en madera de pino, y es una réplica de un águila que se perdió en un huracán en 1938. Esta águila también es histórica, pues fue hecha el año siguiente, en 1939, y le da nombre a este cuarto en el City Hall de Boston. Estuvimos invitados el día de hoy a venir acá a una reunión con el alcalde Walsh, una reunión muy pequeña entre los medios étnicos, el alcalde y la oficina de nuevos bostonianos. Acompáñenme en este programa especial de El Planeta Hoy, en el que conversaremos con el alcalde en una mesa redonda. Tendremos oportunidad de hacerle algunas preguntas que son interesantes para los inmigrantes de Boston, y también conversaremos con Alejandra Sanguillén, directora del Departamento de Nuevos Bostonianos de la alcaldía. Esto es un reporte exclusivo de El Planeta Hoy. Yo soy Rafael Ulloa. Acompáñenme en este programa.
I'd like to just open right up to questions. I know I apologize. I have to leave around quarter past 2, but I'd like to just get into questions. I think you have a lot of the different press statements that we've done, the different positions we've taken on the president's initiatives and things like that. The Office of New Bostonians was founded in the City Hall. I'm not sure how long ago. 98. And they did some work in the city of Boston. When I got elected mayor, and during my campaign for mayor, we placed a lot of emphasis on different parts of the city of Boston and different ethnic groups in the city of Boston, making sure that we're able to connect to a lot of different people, as we did. We did it in the primary and we did it in the final. I think when you look at the final, when you look at the way that the votes broke down, a lot of that work showed exactly what we did in the campaign. So when I got elected mayor of the city of Boston, I looked around all the different departments in the city, and we've merged some departments, we've strengthened some departments. One area we strengthened was the Women's Commission. It was the office, the Women's Commission, that was the name of the office. And we changed the name, and we added more supports down there to the Women's Office of Advancement. We're working on changing the dialogue around what that office does for the city of Boston. So we worked hard on that. We brought in, we created a position, Chief Diversity Officer here in the city of Boston, actually officers, plural. First time in the history of Boston that we've had that office. You know, that office has been up and running now for probably about a little over a month. And really it's about creating pipelines and opportunity of talent to come work for the city, but also eventually hopefully using that office to help pipelines and talent into the business community as well here in Boston and diversify the business community. The Office of New Bostonians is an office that's certainly close to my heart because I'm first generation American. My parents are both immigrants. We're both immigrants. My dad died 5 years ago in this coming June. He came here in 1956. My mother came here in 59. My mother came to this country when she was 17 years old. And you know, my father really had some family here, but not a lot. My mother had an aunt here. But they told me stories of when they came here, how they had to have somebody sponsor them out to this country, and then eventually became citizens. My mother didn't become a citizen until roughly probably in the early 90s. She had the green card, the alien card. She didn't have her citizenship, and part of the reason behind not having her citizenship was because she was intimidated by taking the test. She was really scared, nervous about going and taking the test. And she ultimately did get her citizenship. She took the test, got sworn in, naturalized. And so, you know, I understand the immigrant population in Boston. What's happening prior to the president's executive order with people living here undocumented, I understand that because I had family members in the 70s and 80s that were undocumented, that were living here, that lost family members in Ireland that couldn't go back home to the funeral because if they went home, they wouldn't be able to come back into the country. So when it comes to the immigrant population, both documented and undocumented, I know the stress is on those two populations. I have proudly supported in the past legislation as a state representative. I was one of the original co-sponsors of the driver's license bill up at Beacon Hill, and I was the chairman of Homeland Security at the time. It was in 2002, and part of the reasoning for what I thought the driver's license bill was a good reason to have is that people would know who was here in the country, and you'd have an opportunity. You'd have to go and prove your residency, and I thought it was a good opportunity for us to be able to have people register their cars and drive cars legally. We had many numbers of people, and still do, driving cars that don't have a license and that don't have insurance, and it causes a safety hazard for other folks and for themselves. So that was one legislation I sponsored. A second bill which I voted for and supported was the in-state tuition bill. I was one of 56 state representatives that supported in-state tuition when we had our vote on the House of Representatives floor back, I think, in maybe 2004, I think it was, whatever year it was, but I supported that legislation because I felt it was important that people that were here weren't documented, but went through high school, were eligible for high school, to go on to college, to a state college, they pay the in-state rate. People were trying to make it sound like it was a freebie, and it wasn't. It was an opportunity for people that went to college here, went to high school here for 3 or more years, went to college in Massachusetts, was eligible to get into college, simply paid the Massachusetts rate. That's what that bill did, and that's what Governor Patrick eventually put in executive order. So I'm very familiar with the different issues in the different communities. Since that time, since being here, the Office of New Bostonians really is trying to refocus the office, not just simply around immigration laws and people that are undocumented, but also people that are citizens of the country and citizens of Boston, and helping them with business opportunities, connecting them to the right folks so that they have the opportunities to be able to open their businesses. Also have a place in City Hall for people to come that are immigrants, that oftentimes might have a language barrier, a cultural barrier, whatever the issue might be. It could be around housing, education, economic development. It could be about citizenship. We were one of the first cities to jump on right after the president put his executive order in place. We were one of the first cities to jump out and say we're supportive, but also we're not only supportive, we're taking proactive steps to help a pathway to citizenship. And we have an opportunity here in the city of Boston. I think it's 65,000 people on that pathway to citizenship in the city. So our Office of New Bostonians is a very big part of our city government, and it's a very integral part and a very important part of our city government. It's as important as any other department in our city. It doesn't get treated any more, any less than any other department. As a matter of fact, I encourage Alejandra and her staff to do things, and I'm the type of person and mayor that allows the departments to go forward, and they come to me with an idea. We talk about the idea, vet the idea, and put out. So I need to know what's going on in the departments, but I don't treat Office of New Bostonians any different than treat Public Works when it comes to coming up with new initiatives, new ideas, things like that. That's kind of my background. So I'd like to open up to questions.
Can I say, first thing, thank you very much for organizing this. This is really great, and we're very privileged to be here. And it's nice to hear that, Mayor, we started and just already did one of the first things they did here. I have one, if you look, the information which were sent by your office, that about 27% people are born out of different countries. Yep. So, and almost, the entire ethnic community is represented here in the media, but we have very little access to both the City Hall as well as the State House. If you look at the media coverage, Globe, Herald, you guys are always there, the mayor's office and everybody there. And the reason is not that because lack of trying. For the last year and a half, we tried to do a sit-down interview with Mayor Menino for a year and a half. And every time we were promised, okay, send the question, we send the question, we follow up. He's busy, and after later on he became sick, we understand. But never after a year and a half trying to sit down with the mayor to just talk about what his issues are, what challenges which we have. So I hope that if any one of us come to your office, a New Bostonian office, and we want to do an interview, even if for 10 minutes, we should be allowed that access to do that.
I think you're going to see a difference here now. We have a new communications director, Laura Jerry. We also have Gabby, Melina, and Bonnie. So we have more capacity. I'll be honest with you, in the beginning of the term, there's so many requests for media. It was just one after another. Even my own local paper, Deutsche Reporter, I had a conversation with Billy Forey, the editor, who felt that in the first few months he wasn't getting access. And it wasn't that he wasn't getting access, it was just the capacity was so great, the volume of requests. Sure. And really what we're focusing on now, as I said in the beginning, We're focusing on how do we do a better job of allowing access to the mayor's office, to different departments. I would welcome you to talk to other departments as well. And we have I think our system that we're setting up now is going to be more open. I think you'll see a difference because it came down to capacity. But I think you'll see a difference. And the local papers, you know, the Charlestowns and East Bostons, and not necessarily the ethnic media papers, but the other papers as well. It's difficult. It was difficult for us to get to all of them. And we're coming up with a system on how we do this. And is there an opportunity for me twice a year maybe to sit down with this group of papers and then sit down with the locals a couple times a year? Because I do sit down with the Globe and Herald and the big ones. But it's also important because I think my message, the best way to get my message out is through all of you. Not necessarily in the Globe, Herald, or TV. It's through you because I can get into details that a lot of times your papers will cover the details, while the other ones will just cover the broad picture. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. Mayor, thank you very much for inviting us here. You mentioned the language barrier that sometimes new immigrants, and some immigrants that are not new in Boston, might have when they need to access to services. The snow these days was something that could put in practice a good infrastructure of languages. In my case, in our case, our community is Spanish, but in our communities, different languages, to have access to information that is vital in order to you know, conduct your business during a snow day and have precautions. Are there any plans on the line to make better that system and to have more information in the different languages of the immigrants in the city of Boston?
Yeah, one thing I think we're doing.
I can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, why don't you talk a little bit and then I'll go on.
So with definitely with the snow, you know, snow emergency and any kind of emergency in the city, it's highly important that we get it out in different languages. So the Office of New Bostonians, we were able through Twitter and through our newsletter to get links out in different languages. And the link actually for the snow page was translated and translated pretty well. It was Google translated because that was just it was just the need to get to, it was changing constantly. So in that we had that available and made sure that that was all updated. And we continue to send information out in multiple languages via Twitter and our newsletter. And also right now, Ann Lay, who's my policy and communications advisor, is working on the language access policy for the city.
And we're also working in the Office of Neighborhood Services to make sure that office we get as many different dialects of language in the office to have so we can respond. I think one of the stats that you received, I want to say 36% of Bostonians, their primary language wasn't English or isn't English. So that's a lot of people in the city when you think about it. My parents speak both Gaelic and English. So when I was growing up, Gaelic was spoken in the house. I understood it. I didn't really speak it that well. I can a little bit. So we're very sensitive to that. I was surprised when we got here that Office of Neighborhood Services was really the only place that had pamphlets or any type of information in other languages. And I don't know, it should be, we're working on making it uniform across the city. So it's not just in Office of Neighborhood Services, it's in Public Works, it's in Transportation, it's in BRA, it's in the different places. So that clearly is an issue that we're working on, and we're improving, and we have ways to go. So we still have a way to go in that.